Hello and welcome to episode 93 of Drive with Suit Blog Radio. As always, I'm your host, David G. Firestone. So, I had my hard drive die last week after many years of faithful service, so I'm still dealing with computer issues. I was able to save a lot of my work, but much of my research for Drive with Suit Blog Radio didn't survive. I also had to redo my title break and outro videos due to circumstances beyond my control. I'm going to have to wing it this week. So the plan is, as of right now, I'm going to do 2 more racing news podcasts and then start wheel reviews on November 17th. I've got a lot of good stuff planned for that. And with that out of the way, let's get things started. And as I said, last week I wanted to do AEW this week. I needed to discuss it because it's amazing how much drama can surround one company. Now, all of AEW's problems can be placed squarely on the shoulders of owner Tony Khan. He is a billionaire who was given $100 million by his dad, his inheritance, to run his own wrestling promotion, and it's his hobby. This is a major issue, though, because realistically, Tony doesn't care if AEW loses money. He's already a billionaire to begin with, and he's doing this for fun. Now, in life, the lower you are on the food chain, the less your opinion matters. Nobody gives a shit what Melvin the janitor thinks about how the company is being run. But conversely, nobody blames Melvin the janitor when the company is hemorrhaging money. I think all evidence supports the fact that Tony Khan is the absolute worst possible person to run a wrestling company in 2023. And I say this because in this last year alone, more has been said about the backstage issues than the in-ring wrestling. And I've said this before too. I paraphrase Colin Cowherd when I say that everyone likes the nice guy at work with the jar of candy and the mean people suck sticker, yet more often than not, these people never matter. These are the kind of people who will hide under their desk when the shit hits the fan. You need a strong leader to take the helm and someone who can make hard choices. The problem with Tony is he wants to be the nice guy instead of the leader. He wants to be friends with the wrestlers and keep them happy by doing them what they want with no objection. The wrestlers have learned to boost their own careers as such, but more on that later. Also, I think it's also fair to say that Tony possesses a lack of self-awareness that is beyond stunning. Like, stunning is not even remotely strong enough a word to describe this. He will go on Twitter or on interviews or with basically anywhere and just say things that are seemingly random that make no sense, and then will do things that will contradict them. I had to rewrite the script for this particular example, by the way. Tony Khan has been blasting Vince McMahon for his sexual improprieties, but on the October 25th episode of Dynamite, he brought in Ric Flair as a gift for Sting. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Nature Boy Ric Flair's sexual improprieties were publicized on the Plane Ride from Hell episode of Dark Side of the Ring. But where things got brought to another level was on October 10th. Now, that particular Tuesday, due to the NHL on TBS, AEW Dynamite was moved from Wednesday to Tuesday, which was running opposition to WWE NXT. For those of you who don't know, NXT is the upper echelon of WWE's developmental program and is more or less considered the C show for WWE, Raw being the A show, SmackDown being the B show. Now, WWE has dismissed AEW as a threat, but they took this competition seriously. For this episode of NXT, they brought in Cody Rhodes, John Cena, Asuka, Jade Cargill, LA Knight, Paul Heyman, and The Undertaker. AEW countered with the quote-unquote Title Tuesday episode of Dynamite that didn't even have nearly a stacked card as NXT did. As a direct result of this, NXT beat AEW by over 300,000 viewers. And if you look at the two results linked in the description, even the in-ring talent for Title Tuesday was underwhelming, even by their standards. Yet, in the words of Tony Khan himself, it was, quote, one of our best shows ever. We should tell you where his head is at. Now, Tony's other major issue is similar to Dixie Carter when she was running Impact Wrestling, soon to be TNA Wrestling, he is loyal to the wrong people. Dixie was fanatically loyal to Vince Russo, to the point that I'm actually wondering if there was a romantic relationship going on, because I've heard stories about Dixie over the years, and there might have been, given how fanatically and weirdly loyal she was, but that's another issue. He has the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega as his executive vice presidents, despite all the problems that not only they but their friends have caused. In a company that would have been run by a functional boss and a functional command system, do you think the EVPs would have lasted as long as they have? They wouldn't have lasted 6 months, let alone 4 years. Tony Khan is a feckless doormat in human form. And if you don't follow him on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, you are missing out. He can be very unhinged on Twitter, to say the least. He goes on entertaining meltdowns and will just say random shit that makes no sense. I mean, again, he's unhinged. That much is clear. Now, whether or not he's unhinged because of all the work that he's involved with, including AEW, the Association Football Team, and an American Football Team, or as a number of people have claimed, there are substances involved, is yet to be determined. But his comments on AEW's and on X, on all of his, not only just social media, but in the media in general, has led to a lot of people to complain about his social media presence. Fellow lack of self-awareness having Chris Jericho, in a recent interview, summed up how wrestlers can get on his good side. This is what he said on an interview, link in the description. I learned years ago that bosses are going to be bosses and billionaires are going to be billionaires. I've been working for billionaires for 25 years at this point. I should point out that this list includes Tony Khan, Vince McMahon, and Ted Turner, AEW, WWE, and WCW, respectively. You can't control Tony Khan. He's going to do what he wants, and God bless him. He created this company. He, quote-unquote, runs this company. He grew up in the social media era. He got into wrestling via message boards online. He's always going to be attuned to that. So, who cares, man? He can say what he wants. I'm not going to tell him, take your phone away, because he's my boss. Say what you want, whatever. I think it would be worse if I said that stuff because I'm not the boss. Tony Khan owns AEW. He can do what he wants. I'm not going to tell him no. Now, Jericho has Tony's trust since Jericho signed a 10-year-long contract with AEW. If Jericho really cared about Tony Khan, the two of them would sit down and Jericho would at least try to reason with him. Jericho is only out for himself. He took the I'll tell him what he wants to hear instead of what he needs to hear approach. And again, I'm sounding like a broken record here saying something I've said multiple times, but again, it needs to be said. Everybody in life needs somebody who isn't scared of them, who will tell them the truth, no matter how harsh the truth is. I've had a lot of people in my life who fit that bill. But what I'm noticing is that billionaires and business owners don't have these people, and if they do, they don't listen. Now, what makes this even worse is that AEW is a private company with a sole owner. How are you going to overrule the sole owner of a company? Now, in publicly traded companies, there are ways to remove executives, but with one person who owns 100% of the company and runs it, how are you going to force them out? Now, this leads to another question. Will Tony ever sell the company? Well, the answer to that is no. First off, again, he does this for fun. This is his hobby. He doesn't have to make money with AEW. And to be honest with you, he's not making money with AEW. You find me one area where AEW is profiting. They're losing viewers, sometimes 300,000 households per episode. Nobody is buying their merchandise. Fewer people are buying their pay-per-views. Nobody's buying tickets to events. And even though AEW has a very dedicated fan base, they aren't enough to keep the doors open if Tony sells the company. In terms of his mental health, it appears to me that he's spiraling. He's going to drag the company with him, and if things keep going the way they do, AEW is not long for this world. Now, I would have ended things here, but then something happened that I just had to talk about, and it got me thinking, because I don't think there is another form of mainstream entertainment, at least in America, probably in other places maybe, but I don't think there is any other form of entertainment that has the level of drama and scum elements that professional wrestling has. Maybe the music industry might have the same level of scum elements, but I don't see the level of drama in any other form of entertainment. Now, AEW, Impact, and WWE are all professional companies and have certain levels of professionalism. The independent wrestling scene is the Wild West. And as I was working on the script for this week's podcast, this story broke. Now, Capital Championship Wrestling, which is not long for this world, touts itself as a women's-only wrestling promotion. So on October 23rd, CCW champion Christina Marie posted the following to her Twitter account, link in the description. In light of recent actions taken by Capital Championship Wrestling that have greatly affected both the locker room and the fans, we have made a joint decision to relinquish our titles and take a permanent step back from CCW effective immediately. It is important to note that CCW's actions in no way reflect our beliefs. We truly apologize to everyone that's been affected and hope that our actions will prevent this from happening again. And it was signed by Christina Marie, the former CCW champion, Rebecca Scott, the CCW Global Fighting Champion, and the CCW Network Champion Ultraviolet. Violet being spelled Violette. Now, as most people normally would, I went to the responses for context, because most of the time this context does exist. But weirdly, there was none for 2 days. Then on October 25th, there was an updated post, this time from wrestler Gabby Gould, who went under her real name on her Twitter page, link in the description. This is what she had to say. For everyone curious about the issues with CCW, this was mismanagement of sponsorship money and mismanagement of talent pay. There was an issue of young talent being stranded without a flight home and plenty of interpersonal conflict between the promoter and talent. They can come forward if they feel necessary. The whole thing became very messy and extremely unfortunate. It was nice enough for us as women to have a place for our own, but then he started booking straight cis men on the show. Very strange move. Maybe it's time for another women-owned and run promotion to start up. I guess we'll have to see who steps up and when. Now, it's your choices as wrestlers and consumers whether you choose to keep supporting CCW. It's your life and money. All of my love, Gabriella Belpre, Belpre. Now, it needs to be noted that the he that was referenced is CCW owner Marcello Squirewell. Now, I could, if I wanted to, go on for hours talking about bad promoters, failed events, greedy wrestlers, drugs, alcohol, and a host of other issues. But I don't really think I need to. As a kid, I really wanted to be in the wrestling business, but knowing what I know now, I'm glad I didn't try. As much as I love watching professional wrestling, the behind-the-scenes issues almost everywhere are just stunning. I've never seen another mainstream form of entertainment that has the level of drama and scum elements that wrestling has. It's amazing. And these issues never seem to go away. They just persist. With that said, this shortened episode of Driver Suit Blog Radio comes to an end. I'm going to get some more content for next week. Until then, I'm Dave Farsley. If you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next week.